I could see in that moment that the lighting holds the key to understanding and how to maintain consistent happiness and well-being throughout the year. Hey guys, I'm Ruben Gomez with the Seasonal Movement, and in this video, I'm gonna touch into why the lighting holds the key to your happiness and well-being all year long. Let me explain. The lighting has been studied recently over the last few decades and has been scientifically proven to have a great impact in our biology, in our circadian rhythm, in our brain, and the way that we create and balance neurochemicals throughout the day. What I want you to understand is that there is a lot of literature out there that talks about this, and even though it has been scientifically proven, there hasn't been a big emphasis on how to adapt as the lighting patterns change throughout the year. I used to experience seasonal affective disorder, essentially winter blues, but I realized that it wasn't just a winter problem, this was a all year round problem. So I want you to understand that the lighting has a lot of benefits, but like everything, the excess or the lack of brings issues. Let me bring you to 2022. I was camping and fasting and I got a revelation. I just spent a month in Mexico in the month of January, and I was every single day on the beach soaking the sun. So a month of that led me to that personal development course where I got a lot of feedback, and essentially I realized that I was being hyped, that I was in a way uncontrollable. I was being very spontaneous. I was showing up as dominant and trying to convince people of my way was the right way. In reality, what I was experiencing was a excess of energy. I just came from the winter in the Midwest, went to Mexico, got a lot of sun, during that winter and that fall time. I wasn't really getting much, so then I got a ton of it, and then it showed up and it reflected. That made me think, hey, lack of sun, I understand that is having an effect in my health. It's also having an effect when I have too much of it. And it made me realize, and it allowed me to see a pattern. The pattern was the ups and downs I was experiencing throughout the year, both in my happiness, but it reflected not just in terms of happiness. I could clearly see the low levels of motivation, of happiness perhaps is a way to put it, of just feeling confused and lethargic during the winter time, and then how hyped I was throughout the summer and the springtime, how spontaneous I was, how I was suffering from a lack of direction. I have so much energy and I was doing so many projects, but I didn't know if they were necessarily leading me towards my main goal in life. And I could see in that moment that the lighting holds the key to understanding and how to maintain consistent happiness and well-being throughout the year. The best example is that if you live in a place that experiences the four seasons, you are going to experience a valley, a low point of light throughout the year, and then you are going to experience a peak of light throughout the year. And the peak is going to be in the summer and the low point is going to be in the early winter. The reality is that that has a drastic effect in our well-being, in our biology, in our neuroscience. Every single angle leads towards paying attention to this life cycle. And we know a lot about this from traditional Chinese medicine. This has been studied for millennials now. What I want you to understand here is that the problem is not understanding how to leverage those low and high points throughout our life. Let me give you another example. The winter is getting to an end. You are at the lowest time of your year in both energy, satisfaction, life has become monotonous. There is a lack of excitement. You just want to get done with it because I hear it everywhere. And the most people talk about this, the most I realize this is a universal human experience. So the winter is going deep and all of a sudden things start shifting. Spring starts to arrive. You go outside for the first time for a walk with your significant other. There's probably still snow on the ground, but there is a bright, sunny environment. All of a sudden you look around and you see the first green of the year. It might be a tulip with color. It might be a plant that is coming out from dormancy. That is highly related to the temperature and the lighting environment. And I want you to know that you also experience that internally. That is what I call a seasonal cue. When you see those environments changing from season to season, there are subconscious thought processes happening in your brain that relate to experiences and relate to survival mechanisms that we have experienced and have allowed us to survive as humanity to this point. If you are aware of that, you're able to plan your cycles throughout the year in harmony with those lighting cycles. And the most beautiful example that I want to bring to your attention in this video is the yin yang. Like I say, the yin yang has a low point where the white is lowest, and then it has a high point where the brightness and the white is taking over. What I want you to understand is that's how life is designed to be. And a lack of connection with our environment and to our source is creating deficiencies and is creating a lack of direction throughout the year. That is the way that you can avoid those drastic lows and those drastic highs. What I want you to keep in consideration is that we are not shooting for a straight line. We are shooting to have a low point and a high point throughout the year that is both harmonious. It is in harmony with what we are experiencing at the moment, but it also allows us to, whether it's to decrease our energy a little bit or increase our energy a little bit. Because we live in a society that production has become the norm, and we can get away from that. And that's not the message. That's not what we're trying to achieve. We are not going for hibernation and then absolute ecstasies. We want to go from the hibernation to a relaxed time of the year, resting time of the year, still proactive and still productive, but not at the same level that you will be going at it in the summertime, which in that time of the year, what we want to allow ourselves is by creating very intentional resting periods. It might be that it takes the form of a breathing meditation that calms your nervous system, because during that time of the year, we are on overload. And that overload, that overstimulation creates very negative consequences in our well-being. So paying attention to the light and paying attention to the cyclical nature of it will allow you to experience happiness throughout the year. I go into a lot more detail on how to do this throughout the season, not just in a big picture, but I go micro level and I guide you to implement those at the time that is the most important time of the year. I help you create seasonal routines that will be in alignment with the life cycle on that specific time of the year. And what I provide is a framework, because any advice that you can find on YouTube or from anyone that doesn't take into consideration your specific geographic location, your specific time of the year, and your specific goals is doomed to fail. It's not sustainable. It might align very well to a specific time of the year, but as the lighting cycle transitions and you fail to transition your routine with it, then it's doomed to fail. So my invitation for you is to go to my school-free community, where I am able to go hand on hand with you throughout the whole year, season by season. And I create training specific for that season that you're living, so that you can experience harmony, so that you can experience joy, happiness, so that you can perform the best during that specific time of the year. And as you document that process, you can get back to it next year. The whole idea is that you understand your cycle and you get in alignment with the lighting environment, which is going to get you in alignment with your circadian rhythm, which again, the benefits have been scientifically proven from a cognitive perception and from a performance perception, from a well-being perception. The benefits are there, and you now have the opportunity to take them thanks to what I'm doing with the seasonal movement. Because I noticed that there is a lot of documentation on circadian rhythms, on neuroscience, on even Chinese traditional medicine that has been around for millennials. But there is nothing that really keeps in consideration the three of them and creates seasonal routines. That's what the seasonal movement is here for, is to guide you into entering and achieving that happiness that you're seeking. It's out there. Don't lose the hope. Let's do it together. Like always, please like and subscribe. I will see you in the next video.